Conventional canning as we know it today began with Nicholas Apert, the original food in jars guy, a confectioner and chef. Nicholas began experimenting with preservation during the late 1700s, and he successfully preserved foods such as soups, vegetables, juices, and even dairy. He believed it was the presence of air that led to spoilage, and many of his early experiments were dedicated to removing that element. But it was Napoleon and the French government that changed everything. Hoping of finding a more effective way to feed his troops, a prize of 12,000 francs was offered to anyone who could devise such a means. Apert discovered that it was heat and not air that kept pesky spoilage caused by microbes at bay. Apert's process involved placing food inside glass jars. They were corked, much like wine, and then they were sealed with wax. Then the jars were wrapped in canvas and then boiled. He submitted his invention to the French government and was announced the winner in 1810, some 15 years after he first started experimenting. 1810, Apert published The Art of Preserving Animal and Vegetable Substances, the first cookbook of its kind on modern food preservation. That's just a little story on how canning got started. I'm only speaking for myself on the subject of canning. And I was brought up on a farm. We raised everything we ate, from meat, which we raised and processed ourselves, to the vegetables, the potatoes, the green beans, the peas, the squash, the watermelons. My grandma, she probably made it into town, maybe that I can remember, probably twice a month at some point. And she would buy flour, she would buy necessities. We didn't have a milk cow, but we did have chickens, of course, and we ate fresh chickens and chicken eggs. I never remember Grandma buying any kind of cake mixes or anything that was convenient or fast. Everything was homemade. But going back to canning, we didn't have a lot of money, so we raised our food, of course. And she canned everything. So the pantry was always full of green beans and peas, potatoes, soups and sweet potatoes, and I just can't think of all that was on those shelves, but it was always full. And a lot of it she done on a wood cook stove too, inside the house in the middle of summer. So, and there was no such thing as air conditioning either. But we did save money that way because we didn't have money to spend. So if we didn't have money to spend, you know, there wouldn't have been no food. So the fact that my grandmother had the life skill of being able to grow this garden and can her food, it didn't cost any money. So because we didn't have money to spend. Now we have to go on the other hand and look at the other side. If you're just starting out canning, you've got to buy a canner. You've got to purchase jars. And some people, I can tell you over the years, I have been given so many jars because I tell people, and jars have been handed down to me, and I tell people, if you get a hold of jars or if you get some really dirt cheap, please let me know. So I can't tell you how many hundreds of jars I have, from pints to quarts, jelly jars. And say for instance, it was still cold weather, I went to a flea market. I had about 10 extra minutes, and I just happened to zoom in there, and as I parked, I got to looking at the front door, and there was boxes stacked up by the front door. So I walk up there, and there are boxes full of canning jars, every size you can imagine. And I'm trying to think, there was about 10 to 12 boxes full. And I went inside and I asked the lady, I said, are these jars for sale? And she said, well, they are, but a man's done spoke for them. She said, but if he don't pick them up tomorrow, she said, she knew me, she said, I'll call you. So two or 3 days went, and she finally called me. She said, he's never come and picked them jars up. I said, well, how much you want for them? She said, $20. I said, $20 for 10 or 12 boxes full of jars. She said, yeah, I just need them out of my way. So, I mean, I was ecstatic. You couldn't have told me anything any better. So, of course, right after work, I run back into town, give her the $20, and she helped me load them boxes up full of jars. I'm just saying this to tell you that it's just things like that that help you get ahead in canning. Now, there are a lot of instances that you will spend money canning. Say here in a couple of weeks, I'm going to go and buy me a bunch of peaches from Campbell, Missouri. And I will can peaches, and I'll make peach preserves and stuff. Will I come out ahead? I don't know for sure yet, because I'm not sure the price per pound yet. So you got both sides there. Now if you're starting out, you got to buy a canner, you got to buy jars, you got to buy the lids. I mean, you got to buy. But once you get started and get established, and you got all this stuff together, or even if you have to go to, if you don't have a garden, you go to a farmer's market, a lot of times they're selling beautiful, fresh produce that's not really that high, that you can go home and can, and yes, you have saved money. I can tell you this, there's nothing that tastes any better than home canned vegetables or fruit or even meat. You can't even compare. You can go to the store and buy you a 49-cent can of peaches, and it's not going to compare to the peaches that I'll buy from Campbell, Missouri, that are, I'm not sure how much they are a pound. But I would rather give that extra money knowing what's in this jar of peaches that are going to be really good. I know there's different sides to the controversy on does it save you money or not. It can save you money on one hand, and it can also cost you money on one hand. You just got to know how to do it, which road to take, and you know, like I said, I'm going to can peaches. It's going to probably cost me a little money, but at least I know what I'm getting. It's fresh, beautiful peaches that I'll be feeding my family. And saying that, that's a lot of it, because it's just the pride and the love that you put into your food, your canning, what you cook with your canned food, and what you feed your family. I look back at my past living with my grandparents, and every night, never hearing a can opener, never seeing cans of green beans or, you know, stuff bought from the store. It was always opening a jar or something and heating it up, and it was always delicious. Now, a lot of times we just ate it fresh out of the garden, of course, and Grandma made pickles, but the pantry was full. You can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on how long it takes you to stand there. I'm fixing to go back in here, and I'm fixing to put in another canner full of green beans, because my green beans have done really good this year, and I'm so happy. And yes, I had come in from work, and yes, I've had to get everything together, and yes, I've had to wash jars and get it together, and, you know, get my beans clean. That's true. It's work. But it's called life skills. And the worst thing that we done, especially to our young girls, is take home economics out of school. And I'm not saying all schools have. I do know in our area a lot of schools have took it out. Our school did. home ec has been took completely out. So our children, our girls, even our boys are not being taught this stuff, not even in most homes, so they don't know. And we need to bring this back into our schools because it's a life skill. It's not any different than teaching your child to be able to, let's see, what do we do in home ec? We learn how to write a check, keep a bank account, to cook, to sew, to can. We even had a little garden. At some point at Stone Hendricks they had small little gardens out there. There's just so many. They would teach you how to care for a baby. It was life skills. Canning is a life skill that we all should be proud of. When a man or woman or whatever can go into that kitchen and take vegetables or fruit or meat and carefully process, put these in a jar, process it, and put it up on the shelf. I mean, it took caring and it took love to put that much into it. So, like I said, that's just my perspective on it because I grew up with it. We didn't have no money. So not having money, we didn't spend money on canning. But there are times when you will spend a little money on getting things on your shelf. I think canning is not a hobby, but it's a beautiful thing. I love it. I feel good when I put food up on the shelf like a lot of the women out there do. It's a skill, and that's the way I look at it. And you can learn to do it. It's not hard. I mean, there's so many YouTube videos teaching you step by step by step. Don't be intimidated by the canners. They're not going to explode on you. And I say that, and there's probably somebody that's had an instance or no, and I shouldn't have said that, but I have never in my life seen it. But you have to be careful. You have to take each process step by step, make sure everything is carefully done, and these things won't happen. But once you do it, you'll love it. So, it's just it's a good thing. And another thing is that most of your canned vegetables and fruits will stay on your shelf anywhere. Now, back in the time, my grandmother would tell you, she would tell you 3 to 4 years. I don't know what they're saying now. I think you'd have to be careful if you had something over 3 years, but I know there's people out there that's got some longer than that on their shelf because I've seen it on some videos. But you just have to be careful with it. If something should happen, I don't have tons of freezers, for one thing, to be putting everything up in the freezer. In fact, it's not feasible because even within a month or two, you're going to have freezer burnt food. Whether if it's meat or vegetables or fruit, they do start getting freezer burnt. And if I took everything that come out of the garden or just everything that I've canned and put up, I would never have the room for it, and it wouldn't last. So if the grid went completely off, everything would run. But you would still have your canned products here. So, and I think these are better for you than store-bought canned vegetables. So that's just my view on it. Everybody's subject to their own opinion, and I respect anybody's opinion on, you know, how they feel about it. But don't be afraid to can. If you're intimidated by it, there's lots of people out there on YouTube that will show you the process of canning. And once you ever start, like I said, you'll love it. And there are so many canners out there on YouTube that you can learn so much from. They do such a terrific job. So if you want to start canning, new at canning, all these ladies, and I'm going to put the ones I know of down the description box. And that's just how we do it. I guess it's all on how you were raised. I know people that can go and feed a family of 4 for $50 or less a week, and I have a lot of respect for that, and that is saving money. So, you know, one outweighs the other. It's all good either way. So anyways, that's just my thoughts on it. Like I said, everybody's got the right to their own opinion. Not just their opinion, but maybe how they were raised, how they've always done it. So it's whatever works for them. But canning does, on one hand, save you money, and on the other hand, it can cost you money. You just got to figure it out. But that being said, I hope y'all like this video. Oh, sometimes you never know. But anyways, happy canning, everybody. It is right in the middle of canning season, and we have been very busy. My house stays hot. We come in the afternoon from work and start in canning, and we're just sweating all night long because the house gets so hot. But I wouldn't have it any other way. So, anyways, I'm thinking about, I made some homemade mustard, and I don't know if there's any other mustard lovers out there, but we like a good ground mustard, and it's easy to make. So I'm going to do that for my next video, so y'all keep an eye out for that one. It's easy to make. I buy my mustard seeds online from Amazon. I get an organic brown mustard and a yellow mustard. Now, I'm not talking about your French's yellow looking mustard. I'm talking about a good ground mustard. So if y'all like that kind of stuff, watch for that video. And hey guys, everything's good. I love y'all. God bless. And y'all happy gardening, and y'all just have a cool, dry, bless your heart, all these people getting all this rain. Hopefully and praying that it dries up. So God bless everybody. We love y'all, and I'll see you next time.